Rebecca, you now have 2 minutes to make an affirmative statement.
I think that nurse-patient ratio should be federally mandated because we should definitely focus on the purpose to create a quality, safe environment for patients so that across the entire continuum of hospital settings and any care settings for patients, we can control how many patients nurses have so that they are able to give the optimal care for their patients. As far as legislation controlling this policy, I really think that legislators and nurses that impact this policy and development should really look at an algorithm and focus on the acuity that patients, the patient ratio with nurses so that we can appropriately assign nurses to the patients and make sure that the best quality of care is delivered to those patients.
Jesse Kennedy, you now have 2 minutes to make a negative statement.
Okay, thank you. So I am speaking in con to this because, as we know, we're all here for patient safety. Nobody here would say anything to the contrary. Senator Boxer from the great state of California wrote a bill in favor of national ratios. That was Senate Bill 992. That bill failed. That bill failed because it does not take into account the acuity of each patient. Yes, it takes into account the acuity of the floor itself, such as ICU or general medical surgical, but it does not take into account the acuity of the patients on that particular floor. A second thing is that it does not take into account the individual experience of the patient. Because I don't know about the rest of you, but I don't think that 4 of us would necessarily equal the same as 4 100% experienced nurses that have been on the floor for 20 years. So I'm speaking against this because I don't think that it would be a very good idea. I think a better idea would be to have...
Thank you. Rebecca, you now have... Wrong card.
I think a better idea would be to do a system like they have in Oregon, which is Oregon has a bill called the Safe Nurse Staffing Law. Basically, this sets up a committee at each hospital. At this committee, the committee is composed of nurses and managers. Together, they can decide the acuity of the floor and the appropriate staff. They have to work together, because each hospital is different. I mean, the needs of New York might be a lot different than the needs of Alaska, for example. So each hospital needs to be able to make that decision in order to be the safest possible care providers for our patients. Thank you.
Rebecca.